Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody around the world. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming two speakers, Ms. Nadiya Manji and Ms. Asma Toorkham, for this discussion in collaboration with World Voice International on domestic violence. So the main point of the incentive behind this discussion has been the increased domestic violence that has been seen during the pandemic, where millions of women have been at risk from abuse, harassment. They felt unsafe in their own homes. And as youth, as students of the next generation, we wanted to seek advice and the opinion of experts who are way beyond in their experience, who could inform us of what this actually means and what we as youth can do to ensure that students, that women during this time and during the pandemic feel safe at home. And so we just would like to take this time to explain that Lives for Literacy is a student-led grassroots organization, a movement that was founded by World Literacy Foundation ambassadors, Yasmin Farah Peer, Armand Lakou, and Kelly Young. Yasmin Farah Peer is originally from Montreal, Quebec, and during the pandemic, when she was appointed as the World Literacy Foundation ambassador, she decided that she wanted to do more than simply be designated Canadian ambassador. And so she founded this movement that has now more than 50 plus students and from different countries around the world. And so in collaboration with World Voice International, which is Mr. Fadila Malian Sensa's organization, we have hosted this webinar, this session, this open debate and discussion with our two speakers. And to all participants that are joining us here today, just a disclaimer that this webinar will be recorded and available after this discussion is over. Mr. Fadila Malian, would you like to say something?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Leah Safir. Okay, I can speak about hello everyone. Welcome to open discussion on elimination violence against women. And thank you for the speaker, Ms. Nadiya Manji, for your time to become in this conference. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Asma Toorkham. Thank you for all participants. Okay. And I can speak about the little
and
about
Fadila,
the
before we move further in Canada, because Lives for Literacy is a civic organization, one of the things that we really do is land acknowledgement to show solidarity and reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples of Canada. And so because Lives for Literacy was founded in Montreal, Quebec, we would like to begin today's event by acknowledging the traditional lands in which we operate on. And these are the unceded territory of the Mohawk, a place that has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among nations. And so the importance of these land acknowledgements is for us to show our solidarity with Indigenous populations. And we are understood as uninvited settlers. And so in showing solidarity, we pay our respects to the people of Canada. And so why do we do land acknowledgements? It's basically to show respect for the land. It is a part of the movement towards reconciliation in Canada, and we acknowledge that the land Lives for Literacy operates on has ancient traditional roots and relationships. And so just to go a bit over the agenda of today's discussion, we will be introducing once again the speakers, Ms. Nadiya Manji and Ms. Asma Toorkham. And then we will be having 2 points of discussion: domestic violence in Canada versus domestic violence in Pakistan, and then discussion of domestic violence during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Nadiya Manji, it is such an honor to have you here present with us today. And Ms. Nadiya Manji is a master transformational coach, an intuitive life strategist, an author, an international TEDx speaker, an emotional intelligence expert, an energy healer, and the CEO of Rewire Your Life and Profound Wellness. Among many other accolades, Ms. Nadiya Manji is an extremely amazing individual and a person, and it is a real pleasure to have her here with us today. Our second speaker for today is Ms. Asma Toorkham, joining us all the way from Pakistan. And Ms. Asma Toorkham is a health psychologist, she's a social activist, an experienced national and international speaker, and a world-renowned women's rights advocate. So it is for everybody in the audience, I would love if you gave a huge round of applause to these amazing, inspirational women that we have the pleasure of being with us here today. And I shall pass it over to you, Fadila, for the next one. And so to begin this discussion, Fadila, do you want to take the lead or should I take the lead?
Okay, please, you can take a lead.
Okay, so to begin this discussion about domestic violence and the way that it has been shaped in Canada versus Pakistan, if we take Miss Nadiya Manji's background, originally coming from Pakistan, and Miss Asma Toorkham's background coming from Pakistan, we have a cultural commonality, but the differences come in the approach of the lifestyle. So, in your point of view, Miss Nadiya Manji and Miss Asma Toorkham, how has domestic violence been seen in Canada versus Pakistan?
Asma, you would like to take the lead first, or do you want me to go ahead?
No, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you.
I would like
Thank
to,
you.
gain more knowledge from your experience because I'm just a
Likewise, we
student.
are all equal with our life experiences. Thank you very much. I would really like to appreciate for this introduction and giving the opportunity for me to come on this platform and talk about my understanding of domestic violence. As around the world, we see the importance of mental health. When we talk about mental health, it's a prime concern right now, not only from the perspective of pandemic, but also from the perspective of wherever we belong and cultural belongingness. When we talk about Pakistan or Canada, I was born in Pakistan, did my early 18 years of my life living in Pakistan and understanding the culture. And then I moved to Africa, and from Africa to Canada. This is three continental journey. I learned one thing about it. It's more about who you are and where you come from. And mental health is a human right. Today, the world is talking about everything about human rights and mental health. But there are cultural barriers which are totally ignored at times, that where people come from, that they have their conditioning. One of the conditioning Pakistani women have culturally is the gender discrimination at times. It's evolving, but probably it hasn't reached to that level yet where women can feel that they have a voice. And I come from the place of voice. That if we are all human and we all have equal rights, it's important, really important, that how we perceive our own rights. Most of the time, women in that part of the world, they do not understand their own power, and who they are and where they belong. If they made the conscious choice, and that is where I say the power of saying no. Domestic violence is the acknowledgement that the world is giving, but are you yourself acknowledging that you have the rights to say no or stand up for yourself and your children? There is no gender discrimination in the world right now. Whether you come from Pakistan or Canada, Canada has facilities we can call out the 911 or seek help, and that's provided. Pakistan and women in Pakistan, as I don't live there right now, but what I understand is that there has to be system where women can reach out for help against domestic violence. If we raise our voices and we stand up, then we will be getting help. When we say seek help, you must ask and seek help so that you can come in. If you allow it and saying that it's marriage, it's my family, if I'm going to raise my voice and I'm going to be noticed as that I'm breaking my family or spoiling the name of the family, you are spoiling your own rights, you're spoiling your own happiness. Versus Canada, that here also with some multicultural society, here we have different cultural belief people who come from different parts of the world. And they also, women over there also have to understand the power of their own rights. Learning to say no or power of saying no is that I no longer want to take what is given to me. Abuse is badly, in fact, it's a form of bullying. Whether you're at school, whether you're at home, whether you're in a professional environment. Knowing that someone is stepping into your boundaries or stepping into your civil rights or your rights of happiness, you must stand up and you must say no. The power of no is very, very powerful. And once you understand that you have a voice and you can say no, then your help comes at the surface. Everyone around you will be able to help you, but it begins from yourself. It begins from you, how you can stand up for yourself and say no to abuse. Many women in that part of the world, or whether in Canada, as I again would say, it's a cultural conditioning. We have to break through cultural conditioning to give the true aspect of women's rights or having it in the domestic violence. Having said that, in this part of the world, or whatever seminars and webinars I've attended, there are some men who are also victims of domestic violence. So we cannot ignore that it's only for women. Anybody in the domestic form, whether they're children, whether they are women, or whether they're men, if they experience abuse or violence in any form, whether it's verbal, emotional, or physical, there has to be the awareness that they have to stand up to say no. Because once we learn to say no, we exactly say yes to what we really, really want. And that is the awareness that we need to create as human rights. I was writing the article the other day about live like a human. Live like a human, one of the things is the complete awareness of human rights. People have lack of awareness and knowledge. Once people understand that saying no to this kind of conditioning will liberate them and open more possibilities for a better planet, better world, and better society. This is a system we are talking about. The system which teaches us about democracy, that teaches us about literacy, and the awareness. And if we do not understand these understanding of the cultural awareness or our personal rights as a human, we will not be able to break through these challenges. The system of psychology, all the psychologists around the world right now are working towards mental health. Still, we have many situations where depression, anxiety, and suicidal cases are increasing by the day. It is the system that needs to change and create the awareness from very young age, whether you come from whichever culture, whichever part of the world you come from. Your voice is your choice. And when you pay emphasis on your voice, you begin to choose what is really appropriate for your life and for your choices. And this is where we need protection and awareness for ourselves and for our system. And that is my suggestion. As I said, there is no rights for advice, but that's my take on that. That till the women of the house or people who do not understand the power of saying no and understanding when they're bullied, they will not be able to break through that. And it's really important that worldwide people for human rights create this awareness in people around the world. And as more awareness we create, the more we create the awareness, the more help will be available for the people who are suffering from this catastrophe of domestic violence. It must stop, because when you hear, as a life coach, I hear stories. As a life coach, I hear people's pain. And when they tell me their stories, where they come from and how they have been violated with their space, with their happiness, with their boundaries, it is very sad to see that in this modern world, and evaluation is our human right, we are still stuck in this form of domestic violence that no one talks about. It's time that we get up, whether we are children, whether women, whether men, we get up and we talk about this violence. We talk about the situation, that how we can together we can stop that. And I'm very, very happy that the new generation is creating such platforms for people to come and talk about it. I was fortunate that I traveled around the world. I lived in Pakistan to understand the cultural boundaries and respect, which I learned that how to give respect, but I also must learn when I moved out of the country how to receive respect. It is my choice how I command respect. Respect is not demanded, it's commanded. And when you command respect as a human, it is your human right to be respected, and you have a right to say no. So this is what I have a message today, that your voice is a choice. Please choose wisely, get up, break through your conditioning, and ask and seek help. no matter who you are, wherever you come from, whether you're children, whether you're women or men, it is your right to stand up and say no. Believe in the power of saying no. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nadiya Manji, for that description of domestic violence. And I love how you put it that mental health today is truly a human right. I loved how you said your voice is a choice. It's very empowering, very motivational. And Ms. Asma, if you are ready, over to you.
Well, I'm inspired. I was just in trance of Mr. Nadia Manji's conversation, and I just formally I was told that I have to talk about domestic violence. I prepared a lot of things, a PPT presentation, but I left all that while listening Miss Nadia Manji. As she belongs from Pakistan, and I'm sitting in Pakistan, and I'm a by born Pakistani, and coming from the less privileged area, the interior area of Punjab, which is called South Punjab, and living belonging from a less privileged or feudal law family. I'm fifth in my sibling in birth order. I was not given permission to study, living out of my home and even out of my hometown. It was even the hardship started from the very beginning. Well, Miss Nadia said, say no and learn to say no. And another main point she discussed about mental health. I am as health psychologist. I will start with the research of findings of Miss Megan O'Donnell. She is in Washington and very expert, gender expert from Washington D.C. working with government. I just came to know that she described that even in US, violence against women increased during COVID-19. Not only in Pakistan. Pakistan is a third world country. And I was just quite amazed. It was a series of research which Megan O'Donnell presented. They have started their research in the start of COVID-19 and lockdown, and their research were focusing whether the just women suffering from domestic abuse or any kind of abuse or the children or men. So their research data shows that women are suffering more than 80% from all kind of abuse, and mainly physical abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse.
Sexual
So it
abuse.
is really very, very, I mean, eye-opening for me that we dream about the world of developed countries where rule of law is on top priority. And as being student of PhD, it's my dream to study from MIT or from very, developed universities. But point of concern is that even US, UK,
In
European
Canada.
Unions, or even Canada, I was studying about Sikh community that how violence is growing within their family. They even Sikh women are not allowed to discuss their family matters to a psychologist. They are unable to seek counseling. They have to, I mean, face physical abuse if they say that we are going to take counseling from any psychologist. So it is really critical for us. Even during lockdowns, many women and girls have been isolated and were in unsafe environment, and they were at high risk. From not only from their intimate partners, from their siblings, from their fathers, when they were allowed to go outside, not for jobs, for even education. In Pakistan, more than 10 billion girls are not out of school because Pakistan has imposed lockdown in two phases. And our PMIK said that it's a smart lockdown. From first phase, the lockdown was imposed from March till 15 September. And after 15 September, school and college and universities was reopened. The enrollment and the presence of girls' childs in girls in universities and schools was dropped by 10 million. So it's really, huge gap. So where even the facilities for girls' childs and for women are too less. So it's really hard for them how not only make them safe from domestic violence, abuse, sexual abuse. My point of concern as psychologist that their mental health and emotional well-being is on high risk. The meanwhile issue of child abuse peaked suddenly in Pakistan. That is another, a phenomena that is a problematic phenomenon to face, which is directly affecting their mental health, where boys and girls and kids are not safe. Women are not allowed to go outside. Even when I was traveling to capital Islamabad, I'm basically from Bahawalpur. If Mr. Nadiya Manji knows about the geographical location of Pakistan, so she can imagine that how far Bahawalpur is from Islamabad and Lahore. I was not allowed to travel from Bahawalpur to Lahore, which is more than 600 kilometers from my hometown, because they said that violence, kidnapping, murder, honor killing is on peak. Now you are going to feel and openly speaking and challenging the so-called religious authorities. The another problem in Pakistan is religious authorities. They even don't know what is Allah Ta'ala or the God we believe on, said in Quran
Yes.
Pak. Allah Ta'ala had given the God we believe on a lot of rights to women and girls,
To women rights,
but
yes.
the
But they
so-called
don't.
mullahs and the religious leaders,
Leaders,
their
yeah.
I mean, their thinking stop from that point where Allah Ta'ala in Quran Pak, the religious book we followed, started describe the inheritance law, describe the rights for women, how to treat the girls, how to treat your, women in your family. So this is really, this is really
Matter of
very
concern.
anxious matter of concern and a situation where young girls like me, where boys, not even, I would have been second your point that not only girls are facing domestic violence or even mental health issues, but yes, there are a lot of many men in our society that they have no voice and they have no choice to say no in front of their elders. And these all areas are from interior Sindh, interior Punjab, interior, all interior areas where facilities of education is too less. Although when you said this, when you were in Pakistan, there might have been not as such rules developed. I would just give you just a glimpse that from 2006 to 2019, government of Pakistan has introduced so many laws, namely pro-women laws, workplace harassment act, and establishing uh, uh, shelter homes for girls, for kids, and few of them were implemented in Multan, in Bahawalpur, in Gujranwala, and a lot of many areas. But where the problem occurs, the implementation of those rules and laws,
Exactly.
where
It's the
the
implementation.
powerful have authority, where the powerful have authority to ruin the life of the weak. So, what I would say is, again, I would second your point that we have to learn
Awareness.
to say no. We have to, as a woman, we have to understand that, and as a young woman, young girl, I have to understand that my mental health and emotional well-being must be my top
It's
priority. Although
yes.
I never been to many other countries, but I have been on panel of different international forums, including British Health Psychological Societies, Devian Health Psychology. It's really my privilege. I'm not as such a experienced person like you. I'm truly honored to be with you, Miss Nadia. It is really a privilege for me. But
Asma, it's my honor to to be on this platform because it's from my background that I grew up. I left Pakistan in
yes,
1995, and got married in Kenya, and that's how I moved from one country to the other. And I totally understand what you're bringing it out, that we have the awareness. We talk about in systems that women rights, whether it's from the religious perspective or from the social perspective, but when it comes to implementation is where the boundaries are. And as I mentioned, that it's all about the conditioning the women have been put in that part of the world, or even whether it's America or Canada,
Exactly.
it's actually protecting the home and your life, that you don't step out of your privacy to tell
Exactly.
people what really is happening in your world. And that's where we need to create awareness that mental
Exactly.
health. And I really like the way you say that in our culture. And I
Yes,
totally agree
exactly.
till now when people come and they say that, oh, if you are from this culture, you don't go to psychologists. It's kind of, you going to
Mm.
psychologists mean that you
Yes.
have a mental problem. But actually going to a
Mm.
psychologist or a life coach, it's to
Yes,
live a better
exactly.
life. It's to improve your life. And
Exactly.
now when you say that
Exactly.
don't go there, or don't wash your dirty linen outside, you're actually not helping your family, your generations. You are destroying it, because all of us, we have problems. All of us, we need to reach out, and we need to reach out for help. We seek help. Women are the producers of generations, and if their mental health is
Exactly.
not right, can you imagine that what's going to go ahead in
Exactly.
generation, and what kind of men we are producing if the mothers are not mentally healthy? So if the man is
Exactly.
doing domestic
Exactly.
violence, then he came from that mother who never stood up, who never said no, and that's what he
Exactly.
learned. So we can't blame one person in
Exactly.
this. It's everybody is part of the system, whether you come from the religious understanding or a religious leader, or whether you're a social leader or a governmental political leader. Creating the awareness of mental health is extremely important right now from my perspective, that if we are to think about whether Pakistan or Canada or Africa, where I lived so many years, I understood these three. Like, I came from very constrained boundaries. You can't cross the road without the permission of your father. You cannot go to university. I remember in 1992 when I went to Karachi
Exactly.
University, my mother
Mhm.
had like really mental issues that, oh, what are people going to say, I'm sending my daughter to university. And my
Exactly.
father my father said, no matter what,
This
my
is
daughter is going to
so.
be
This
educated.
is the,
And
still
today,
is the same
and
situation in
today,
Pakistan.
and today he's so
Nothing
proud.
has been
That,
changed.
yes, and today
Yeah.
he's so proud that, look, if I did not allow my
Yeah.
daughter to go, she wouldn't have been a TEDx speaker. She wouldn't have been an international author. So it's about men and women together as a team, and creating the awareness in
Exactly.
parents of how the mental health, once you give the freedom is not bad if it is utilized in an appropriate
Exactly.
manner. And when we come to Canada, as you
Exactly.
say, that besides have living in the third world or first world country, women still suffer from domestic violence or sexual
Exactly.
abuse. It's
Exactly.
not about
As I
education.
mentioned. Mm.
All
Mm.
educated people are there. The world is big on
Exactly.
education, but still such things happen. Is the lack of awareness and importance of mental health, that whatever emotional challenges you're going through, you must share and you must discuss. That's where I would definitely
Exactly.
agree with you.
I would second your point, Miss Nadia, that there are not issue of educated men's or society, and exactly as I discussed Miss Megan's research report. Megan, you can search Miss Megan. She is a research analyst list from Washington D.C. There is not problem of of education, or as I'm sitting in Pakistan, the same statistics, or maybe more than higher statistics from US. I just came across from other day. The issue is the competition is all about the game of power. Women are not allowed to be powerful. In Pakistan, when I used to draw my own car in that area, in Bahawalpur or even Lahore, even educated men used to gaze me that, oh, I'm alien and I'm from another planet. Because yes, I one day I discussed with my friend why not to experience this behavioral experience this from behavioral perspective. We decided that we will choose to use a rickshaw or local transport, and we'll see how male behave towards us, how they used to gaze. We commute for more than 20 days from that public transport. They were the same colleagues who were commuting for their job purpose from the same area to and for. they were less interested on us. They never notice, oh, we are somebody, or we are existing on that public transport. But one day we used to change our commute, and we use our personal vehicle, car. And those men were gazing that we were like aliens. If we are using the public transport to commute from home to our office, we are nobody because we are powerless. We are like them. Okay,
Yes,
we are
I
not
really like,
powerless. We
yes,
don't have wealth and this. And if we are commuting and on our own vehicle, and it shows that we have some powers. We are more superior from them. We have some sort of authority. We can move freely from one place to another. We can commute from our home to office on our own vehicle. But they even unable to own their own cycle, bicycle. So they behave in very arrogant way and very harassing way. So
yeah,
this is all about, even I would like to quote the attitude of Mr. Donald Trump with all women counterparts working with them in Congress or in even his own party, when he pointed out four Democrats women, and on top was Miss Ilhan Omar, and how he abused and harassed her, shows that, I mean, it's all about mentality. It's all about the
mindset
cycle of violence
awareness.
they have seen in their life. It all about the learned behavior. They learned at their home. They learned from their surrounding, and the loss of control. They don't have control on their temper, and though they often choose to abuse their not only colleagues but maybe their partners or their siblings or their people around them. So uh, uh, this is all about mentality and mindset. So my
Mindset,
point
yes.
in that, what I would say that this is all about the competition of power. The more powerful you are, the more abusive you will be. What we learn, what world learn from the example of Mr. Donald Trump, what they have done to capital before joining of Mr. Joe Biden. There were
So
there were
I think, Asma, when you're talking about power, where I take this point from, that power is about, because the world is creating the awareness of feminism and how women have the rights. Because when you
yes,
educate a boy, you educate a family, or you give the opportunity to the family. But when you educate
exactly,
a woman, you are educating the generation. So it is
exactly,
a power game. I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of the biggest writers. He's no more in the world. He says in one of his documentary that women and men consciousness, the consciousness that the men were supposed to rule and women were supposed to support the rulers and take care of the home. And now the
exactly,
world has changed when the education has expanded, and we have such a big platform for women to educate and show up in the world of male industries, or standing up in front of men. It is what the challenge that people have to accept. It is the generational
exactly,
transition. We are going through the transition, and
exactly,
hopefully the generations
exactly,
coming up and the newcomers and the youth of today is actually having the power to learn and create awareness, that we learn to say no. Again,
exactly,
coming back, that yes, power is there. Sexual abuse is also a sign of powerlessness, that a man has more power over women, but yet is the same thing, that the society, we come back to the system, that the mental health awareness, whether it's
exactly,
Donald Trump, whether it's
exactly,
Joe Biden, who chose the female prime minister to bring the equality to the world, it's very statemental, and I'm so proud of him for doing that. At the same time, the world needs to understand that there are women who have the alpha energy in them. They have the masculine energy in them that they can share
exactly,
with the world,
exactly,
and there are men
exactly,
who have the female energy, where they understand the nurturing. It's more
exactly,
about understanding each other's power, each other's quality, and giving importance. There's no one is more
exactly,
powerful than the other. It's equality. Equality, that's how God or Allah Ta'ala, you say, He created that. There was a need for women, there was a need for men. And
exactly,
that's where the society has to give equal respect. And that's where you grow
exactly,
from there, when you get the awareness, the collective awareness. It's not about you and me talking, or Fadila, or this platform of human rights. It's about every human being, every platform, in the every business, in the every company, organization, home, schools, Everywhere it is starts from bullying. Stop saying no to bullying, and then
Exactly.
you will be able to say no
Exactly.
to the violence. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. I would second your point. Not only the issue of power, but accepting that differences, accepting
Yes.
that mindset, and then letting them go,
Acceptance,
then
yes, that
stopping
women
that
are of
bully.
today.
Yep. So, yeah, yes, exactly. And what I observe from day to day routine, and the what I discussed before, and the other discussion I have with different community groups, is the major problem, where the major problem occurs, the acceptance. We just want that you, Miss Nadia Manji, or Mr. Fadila, or everyone else, just accept me who I am. But I'm not willing to accept that accept that I have to accept Miss Nadia Manji, who she is. So the problem is of acceptance. So as you said, as you mentioned earlier, we not only we are on transition phase. So in
Yes,
that
we
transition
are in the
phase,
transition that
it is,
where women are
yes,
getting their
we in that,
space. Yes.
yes, in that transition phase, with a very heavy heart, I would like to share that, as you mentioned, that in 90s, when you used to go to your university, the worst situation is right now in Pakistan. When I used to say, Mom, I'm going to my university, and for this I have to travel for more than 600 kilometers from my hometown. She used to be worried because she know that now people are being more intense. They have the lethal weapon of social media. They can bully anyone. They can abuse anyone without their consent, without their, without their even intention, without knowing them. So uh, it is now a matter of fact, not it's important to accept their differences, but saying no. And as well as a person, as a woman, as a community member, as a human being, I have to report all those indecent events, all those uncomfortable events with the youth of my age, with the youth of with the young children and girls who are more younger than me. And we there must be discussions as we are discussing right now. So
I
having
have,
conversation is a great way
yes, I have three boys.
breaking the barriers.
I'm the mother of three boys. So I understand that
Wow.
I live with all the male in my
So
house and I have to stand out for who I am because I'm teaching them what a powerful and strong woman looks like and how she presents herself. So tomorrow in the world when they go, the first rule in my house, respect women. No matter what, you have to respect
exactly.
women. And it begins from home. And I'm very fortunate
Yes,
to have married
exactly.
a man who understands the value of
Hmm.
women power. Or if a woman wants to go ahead and she has dreams, he has this open-minded understanding, and he said that it doesn't matter who goes ahead or who goes behind. It's about the family. If you want to
Exactly.
go ahead, and yet he himself is very successful in his industry and never makes me feel powerless because he feels that it's his right, that he enjoys his life equally. It's my right that I enjoy my life and my dreams. And he said, if you follow your dreams, if you're happy, I'll have a happy home. I don't want an unhappy home. So if you have the happiness, then my family will be happy. So go and do what you really like to do, as long as we are fulfilling our home duties. Women going out of home, and it's a natural nurturing part women have, that we are nurturers, right? And the
Exactly.
men are providers. That's the
Exactly.
understanding.
Exactly.
So
Hmm.
children, for children, the nurturing part comes from the mother. And if you and I have sacrificed, like besides having so many dreams, I never gave up on my motherhood. And I
Exactly.
was asked this question, that how did you do
Exactly.
work-life balance? And I said, whenever you
Hmm.
are in that situation, give importance to the now, live in the now. I enjoyed being a mother.
Exactly.
I married young, but I never gave up my dreams. I had a child when I was 22, and I know that I raised
Wow.
my children.
That's great.
I raised my children and I
Really
fulfilled my
amazing.
dreams. So today, my kids go to university, and at the same time, I have my education going on. I am achieving. My goal is to prepare them that what kind of a woman they're expecting in the world now. There's no woman is going to sit in the house and make flatbread for you or food for you. You have to do it together. If she's cooking, you chop.
Exactly.
If she's cooking, you clean. It's equality because it's for everyone's
You're
growth.
teaching them equality. Exactly.
Yes, and that's where it comes from, men and women. And as I said, I'm fortunate that my husband understands, and we actually tell our boys that it's equality, and you have to make sure. Yes, there will be days when you'll feel that, but you come from problem solving. That yes, there will be challenges. There will be times when women are expected to do more for in-laws or more for the house, more for the husband. It's about communication. So once we grow, my trainings are in communication. My trainings are in emotional intelligence, that the more we get awareness of emotional intelligence and communication, how we
Exactly.
communicate, we will be able to create the awareness of mental health, and we will be able to create this every moment in this life, that from where we come from, whether you're a woman or man. If that was not the case today, Fadila would not be reaching out to two women and talk about it, if that was chauvinism, right? So thank you to Fadila for reaching out
Exactly.
and making sure I show up on this chat, because I was almost canceling. And again, it's about mother duty. I have to go and drop my son, and that's where I have to show up. I cannot compromise on my duties.
Miss
I
Nadiya
cannot
Manji.
compromise.
Yes, we had Fadila had communicated that to us, and we were like, no, not at all. We're willing to, accommodate. But to add to this conversation, how we've brought in the importance of being mindful of the cultural differences and
Yes.
commanding respect. How should women actually stand up? Because often, in reality, the biggest obstacle to ending, say, abuse is not just a matter of whether the victim chooses to leave a situation, but then it becomes a decision of whether the victim is able to safely escape, because sometimes they're tied to maybe their partner is financially supporting them, or if they suddenly leave, how are they going to, maybe they'll just be on the streets. So in Canada, at least, we have facilities to support these women or Indigenous women that are victims of domestic violence. But in
Mm-hmm.
other countries, in India, Pakistan, South Africa, Kenya, how do we support these women? How do we advocate for the rights of these women to be respected? And then another point to bring into this conversation is domestic violence perpetuated by a low education? And what role does the government or civil society or grassroots level organizations and movements, what role do they have to play in advocating for this domestic violence to come to an end?
So for the first question, what I would say is the courage. Courage is the part that you have to practice courage. Courage is not learned, it's built. So you have to start taking courage for small steps. If you are going somewhere, stand up and say,
Exactly.
I want to go, and start reasoning it out. Because when you build the muscle of courage, Brene Brown has written a great book about leading with courage, right? So you have to have courage. Courage is a prime thing that we have to build our girls, our women with courage,
Mm,
that they can stand up. If a boy hits you from a young age, you stand up and say no. You have the courage. You
exactly.
have to come up with the courage. That's the primary step. If we don't build this muscle, we can speak and do debates after debates. If we cannot encourage women from within to have the courage to stand up in this world and time, we will not be able to get through. And that's where everything will be proceeded. That's my take. That the first step we require to stop this, to encourage women in the underprivileged society, or where people in Pakistan or India, where there are challenges, that teaching girls to have the courage. And once they learn that how the courage is built or practiced, then that's the first step to take it to the next level. And then they start saying no. Then they learn how to say no to physical or sexual abuse, or emotional abuse, that they start getting courage and seeking out help and saying that I need help. But that courage is the part. And what would you say, Asma, on that?
Yes, I would second your point. You elaborated very well the term courage, and this is what I used to say, that I even advocate this term, because I used to say the youth as an activist, that if you I mean not taking the first step, if you losing your courage, if you being afraid from the societal norms, then you are being the victim of everything you even have done or not, right? So for this, what I did, the second question I would say that I am giving free sessions to young girls and boys in district Rahimar Khan, and district Bahawalpur and district Multan. More than I have delivered more sessions, more than 20,000 students, teaching them and saying them then be courageous and be the first drop of dew for your own, not for your own voice, not for your own right, but for those, for the people who are unheard, who can't stand up for their own rights. Even when I'm the example of that word you use, the courage. Courage is not, I mean, it's not a for granted thing, you know. It's been learned from your environment. And if I have a passion, if I have a dream, so for this I have to take small steps. I have to challenge those patriarchies, those norms. I have to challenge those mindsets who think differently for girls. If I'm in Pakistan or in Southeast Asia, most of the Southeast Asian countries, girls had to be given a doll in gift, and boy have to be given a car or an aeroplane or something like that for toy. So what my point is, I used to challenge in front of mothers, what exactly you want to taught your kids. Giving a doll to a girl, can't she drive a car, can't she fly an aeroplane, can't she sit in a
Yes.
train? Why you are teaching this mindset? In fact, we from the beginning in Pakistan or in Southeast Asian countries, from the very beginning used to impose our patriarchal mindset in our children, that girls only can sit at home and they can play with dolls as a kid. And when they are at the age of 15 or 14, they have to be married with someone and have kids and this and that. And driving car, flying aeroplane, and traveling out of town, and being an activist, being an passionate traveler is not a matter of girls. So this is a mindset, and this is very important to be taught to our young generation and youth, because the violence starts from that time when you are giving a doll to a daughter and aeroplane or car to a boy. So
To a boy.
this is
Yes.
all about mindset. This is all about mindset.
Mindset.
So this
I think
really
awareness again.
this really pinched me a lot. And I would add, Nadia, sorry for interruption. Unfortunately, not only in developed countries, in underdeveloped countries, women from generation to generation, they never courage to challenge their norms, to challenge their societal norms. They think they will be tabloized, they will be tabloized with different titles. Though this is a fear. This is a fear in their mindset, they're in their subconscious, in their unconscious, been taught by their woman. You are a superwoman, I would say. I would say you congrats. I'm really been inspired. This is what I said. More than teaching girls is not as important as compared to teaching your boys, that how to deal your girls, how to deal your mother. She is feeding you, and she have gave you birth, she has given you birth, she nurtured you, she breastfed you, and now she is taking care of you. So she is a human being first.
Yes. You have to
She
teach the
has the
men, I
right to
think.
be. Yeah. Yes. So it is
Yes.
important everywhere around the world, in every norms, in every custom, in every society. Men
Yes.
are, I mean, must be a center of attention to be taught. So there is a lot about women violence, and violence against women, violence against girls. There must be a topic how to change the mindset working with men, how we can taught them, how we can teach them that how they behave, being a father, being a sibling, being a parent, or being a colleague. So this is all about teaching them, and this is all about their mindset. And we, the girls, have to challenge their mindset. I mean,
I
thankfully
think
we
it's
have
more.
started
I
like
think it's more about
from
more than
you.
challenge. I look at it, Asma. I appreciate what you said, but what I really emphasize on is not about challenge, because the challenge word is like you're competing.
Mm.
There's no competition. There's all about equality.
True.
When we come from that mindset, you challenge yourself. So when it comes to courage, you have to challenge yourself. It comes from within, that how can I do this for me? Because when we allow the power to other
Yes.
people
Okay.
and life challenges, it's there. Because the society where you come from, where you say in Pakistan, if a girl says, I'm going to challenge you, then you are opening the can of worm for men, to say, okay, I'm going to put
Exactly.
you down. But here is the thing, that
Okay.
how language and the words and the communication again is the way it is, that if
Exactly.
you can question, learn to question. One thing my dad said when I was growing up,
Exactly.
and today he tells me that the reason why you are where you are today, because you had the courage to ask questions. I was always asking questions. Why? I was the why kid. And that's why my father said I had to change my
Very good.
mindset. I had to change my mindset for a daughter like you, that she's always asking, questioning.
Questioning.
And when the question came, I had the
Question.
courage. So you have to tell the young girls always that get up and ask questions. And when you ask questions, your parents have to answer. And when they have to answer, there are solutions, and they learn. That's where we say you always
Exactly.
learn through the question. You never learn only with the answer. When you ask the question, your parents learn through you. So teaching young girls that, yes, ask, what is your take? What do you want to say? And give them choice. Do you want to eat
Exactly.
this, or do you want to eat this? That's where it starts from. So I
Yes.
challenging
Exactly.
challenging yourself, it comes from there. And just because I just want to tell you guys, I have to leave shortly, and there was a second question. I'll put my input, and then I'll take your leave, guys. I have to start my work. And so the second question was about, she asked about how the government, what is it to do with, is it only with the education? Am I getting that question right? It was about, is it only about the education or non-educated that who suffer from domestic violence, and what is government and system is
Yes,
doing
it was
about it?
it was about, is domestic violence perpetuated by low education, and what role does the
Yes.
government and civil society have
So
to
I
play?
so I understand that it's not about with education. If it was about education, we have more educators right now in the world. Then we still have domestic
Exactly.
violence going on. So I think it's awareness. Education is just education when it's in the book. It becomes a knowledge when you practice the education. So education being practiced turns into knowledge, and knowledge turns into wisdom, and that's where system and society changes. So I think political leaders also have to understand that human rights and
Exactly.
against the domestic violence, there should be mandatory rules that should be taught from every home. Like the way we have civil rules, we have domestic rule of, we should have domestic rules as well, that anybody in any country, in any government, is experiencing domestic violence is supposed to be reported. When we create a system, we are educating people about their own rights. So it's not education from the books, it's more about creating and practicing that education, which turns into knowledge and then wisdom. And that's where I think political leaders or the system leaders, they should know that what should be mandatory when it comes to human rights, whether it's women, whether it's children, whether it's men. As I say, that since I come from a household where there are more men and I'm the only woman, I never ignore men, because I think they have to be nurtured as well. Yes, I do stand for women rights, but I also support men. It's equality.
Exactly.
So if I don't know if that answers your question, what you asked me, that it's more about creating the awareness of education of human rights, that when we know the education of human rights, we grow from there. We can be very educated people, we can have achieved degrees, but if our belief system is not developed, our value system is not developed to respect, to nurture, and to create boundaries, we will not move further. As Asma said, it's the unconscious programming. The unconsciously we are programmed to behave in certain way. So when we create and we put some mandatory rules about domestic violence, I think that should be a big breakthrough for the system and the society.
Thank you so
Exactly. Very
much.
well said.
Yes, very well said. And so, because we've already delved and dived into this whole conversation about domestic violence during the pandemic, which has unfortunately risen during the pandemic, and I just want to, end this conversation and particularly thank Miss Nadiya Manji for making it here to us, Miss Asma Toorkham for really serving as a source of inspiration for women in Canada, for women in Pakistan, for women around the world. And it has been such a pleasure to hear about the importance of our voice, the importance of courage, and how we need to take action in order to stop and put an end to domestic violence. And as both of you have mentioned, it comes from this courage and this awareness. And as youth, as future as the future generation, it is truly important for us to continue persevering. And I wholeheartedly thank you both for coming onto the Lives for Literacy platform, for coming onto the World Voice International platform, and for truly making this webinar discussion, this debate, truly inspirational and educational and empowering for all students and leaders far and wide.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. And thank you, Asma. Thank you, Fadila, for this opportunity. And all of you who are in this platform, I really appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed. And I wish everyone all the best. And together, we can make a difference.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Okay, bye. See you.
Miss Asma,
Thank you so much.
can
Thank
I,
you. Yes.
can I speak one time?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say thank you for the best speaker, Miss Nadiya Manji, Miss Asma Toorkham, and
Yes.
the best
Thank you.
moderator, Miss Leah Salafir from Canada. Thank you. It's really great discussion,
It's
But
very
yes,
welcome. I'm just going to take a picture, and thank you so much for wholeheartedly, Miss Nadiya Manji and Miss Asma Toorkham. You shall be hearing from
Thank you.
Lives for Literacy. We will be sending you both a letter of appreciation on behalf for coming onto this platform. And once the recording is available, it will be sent to you. So wholeheartedly, thank you once
Thank you
again,
so
and
much.
have a wonderful rest of the day and night wherever you are.
thank you,
Bye.
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Thank you so much. It was a privilege for me to join
Khuda Hafiz.
such a
Khuda
great
Hafiz, Asma.
leader. Hafiz. Thank you. Thank you, Nadia. I
Okay,
have to
one
go.
more,
So thank you so much. I really enjoyed.
one more time, Miss Nadia, Miss Asma. I can speak Pakistan language, Punjab language. Maybe I can speak, okay? Um, Tuhada, Bahuta, dan Nafada Hai.
What did he say?
What did you say, Fadila?
I didn't, but I just enjoyed
Okay.
whatever you said.
Okay.
You heard some
This is Tumhada.
You may please write.
Okay.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
Tumhada.
Okay, he's saying that. Thank you so much.
बहुत शुक्रिया. आपका भी बहुत
Tumhada.
बहुत
Yes.
शुक्रिया.
Bahuta, dan Nafada.
So
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Fadila. So I'm really obliged and I'm really truly humbled, and it's a privilege for me to talk with Nadiya Manji. She is so experienced. I learned a lot, and thank you, Fadila, for convincing me I should participate in this session and to meet such wonderful superwoman. Thank you, Nadia. Won't take you
Bye.
too much time because you have to go.
I have to go.
Thank
Take
you,
care,
everyone.
guys. Bye.